Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your revived hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC, and when there's just too much cool anime to watch, we've got you covered. Summer is here, summer is hot, and so are some of the premieres that we checked out from the newest anime season, and we'll talk about briefly, momentarily, in our sneak peek. After that, we will review our first show from spring, the newest project from Cowboy Bebop director Shinichiro Watanabe, who together with Studio Mappa brought us the secret agent scavenger hunt spectacle, Lazarus. So brush up your parkouring skills, definitely pay attention to your surroundings because what you seek might be closer than you think, and definitely don't pause the pod, we'll be right back. They tried to hit you. They tried to kick you down and out. So yeah, sneak peek time, as usual for first time listeners. This is our section where we talk about the new premieres, which we watched 1, 2, 3 episodes of, depending on how many have aired, what we had time for, whatever, and give you our brief impressions on it. We have 3 sections, the nopes, the maybes, and the keepers. No nopes today, but usually those are the shows that we watched a few seconds, minutes, whatever of, and decided, nope, not gonna continue watching that for whatever reason. Then the maybes, the shows that are somewhat enticing and that held our interest at least for a while, and that we might keep on watching, might finish, but we don't know yet. And, of course, last but not least, the keepers, the shows that we definitely liked and definitely want to keep on watching, and if nothing super surprisingly bad happens, and maybe even then, we will finish them. So... yeah. I mean, it has happened before. Karakuri Circus comes to mind. A show that I was very enthusiastic about in the beginning, and then that just went...
Yeah, so was I, and then you finished it. I dropped it maybe 2/3 of the way through.
Sometimes I like to hurt myself.
Don't worry. I'll be doing that this season.
I can see what's coming on the horizon. But yeah, I think I have one more maybe than John. So I will start, and there might be some overlap somewhere we didn't talk about our picks before. So, first maybe, Leviathan is a show that is actually already completely out, at least the first season. I don't know if it's getting multiple seasons, but it's a Netflix show, and it's not a weekly release, so they released it all in one fell swoop. So if you want to binge that, you can do that right now. But yeah, that is the new show from Studio Orange. Or I guess the second show, because they're still working also on the second part of the final season of Beastars. So
right.
This is maybe not the main team. I don't know. I can't tell yet because, CG animation. But Orange usually delivers the best version of that. And the show looks good. It's set in an alternate universe World War I scenario, pretty much at the eve of World War I. Actually, that's where the show starts. And with the assassination of the Austrian Archduke, just like it happened in real life. Everything else, aside from that, is very wild alternate history stuff, though. First of all...
yeah, it seemed that way from the trailer.
Yes, so Austria, Germany, I don't know which other European powers have mechs. They're called walkers here. It's very steampunky, and they look very front mission-ish, I guess. Somewhat bulky. Wanzers come to mind. But then we, on the other side of things, the British Army, for some reason, has genetically engineered beasts they use for warfare, who have apparently been created by Charles Darwin. Sure.
As you do.
As you do. So in the first episode, there's like this giant fucking saber-tooth cat or whatever it is that is pulling a carriage, and then one of our two ostensible main characters, Dylan Sharp, is in a training maneuver carried away by a giant jellyfish that they apparently use for air combat or whatever, for paratroopers, I don't know, to get around. And then at the end of the episode, we meet the titular Leviathan, which is just this giant flying whale that is made up as an airship. So, there you go. That's what we are dealing with here. It's wild shit, and what I didn't know before, this is based on a novel series by an American author called Scott Westerfield. It's apparently a YA novel series, and yes, that is definitely oozing out of the material. Like, you got two young protagonists. First of all, the young Austrian prince Alexander, who, as far as I know, is completely made up. The Archduke never had a child called Alexander, but there is some weird naming coincidences with another person in European history relating to this war with the same name, and I wonder if they're gonna do a switcheroo there, and then by the end of the story it's like, this person was actually that person. So that's interesting. And on the other side of so Alexander, we have on the one side of things, his parents get murdered, and he gets transported to safety by some of his subjects, and is probably gonna end up being thrown into the war or whatever. And then on the other side of things, we have Dylan Sharp, who is actually a girl who is dresses up as a boy to be able to enlist in the British Army. And then she accidentally gets transported away by the jellyfish due to things happening, and I guess ends up on the Leviathan. And I guess these two are gonna end up together in one way or another as opponents on the battlefield, or I don't know. If you look at the story, they would be, like the original history, they would be opponents because, you got Austria-Hungary on the one side with Germany together as the allies and whatever, and you got Britain and Russia on the other side, I guess, technically, and but that seems to be mixed up. Like, they seem to switch that around because for some reason the walker that Alexander and his subjects, his lieutenants, whatever, escape when gets attacked by a German tank, and the Germans and the Austrians were aligned in that war. So I don't know what's happening here. Maybe it's a conspiracy thing. I don't know, or they just switch everything around. So we'll see. That's gonna be interesting. So yeah, alternate history story. Pretty wild, and Orange doing the animation. So the CG is at least good quality. We'll see if it reaches great. I like the first episode. It's maybe a bit problematic that it's human characters, and I feel like Trigon looked a lot better, but maybe that's first episode syndrome, and there are not that many big character or super character moments yet or whatever, but it feels a bit choppy in certain parts that in others it doesn't. The action scenes, or that one very short action scene that was in there where the Stormwalker with Alexander in it has to escape from the German forces. That was pretty cool. That was very well animated, looked great. So I don't know. I assume since this is a war series, we're gonna get a lot more of that down the road. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I don't know yet. With alternate history stuff, it's always like, okay, how dumb is this gonna be? Like, what?
Yeah, it can be kind of a toss-up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and if it's gonna be dumb, is it gonna be the fun dumb, or is it gonna be the infuriating revisionist, weird political undertone? Right, that exists as well, and it can go either way. I mean, the funner versions of that are, I guess, stuff that Kojima does with Snake Eater and stuff like that, which has a lot of revisionist history stuff in it. But he does some interesting things with that regardless, and I don't know if that show is gonna do that because I don't know the novel series. I don't know how popular that is, how well regarded that is. So I haven't read up on any of that, but I'm interested to see more. At least for now, I'm definitely going to give it like a 2 or 3, 1 or 2 more episodes. I want to see what the relation between our ostensible 2 main characters is going to be, which I can't really determine yet. So that's going to be interesting. Given certain YA tropes, I can see where the story is going. But we'll see. Maybe the show will surprise me. And yeah, the setting is interesting enough. Like, we don't have that many anime, I think, that are set in World War I, albeit an alternate history World War I. And I always like when things like that get spiced up. I like the Temeraire novel series where there's like the Napoleon Wars, but suddenly dragons. So that's also fine with me because that's the kind of stupid I can I can deal with, where it's like, okay, this is dumb, but it's also a fun take on what happened in actual history, and then what would happen if you would introduce a science fiction or a fantasy element into a real history scenario. And I could see this being a fun, dumb show like that, but I can't tell yet. But the good thing is, since it's all out, I could technically just go for it and find out pretty quickly if it's my kind of dumb or not. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Leviathan could be nice, could be cool, could be probably will be very dumb. Let's hope it's not going to be infuriatingly dumb. John, what is your first maybe?
I'm gonna go with a cultural exchange with a game center girl. So this is all about this girl who is very British, is in Japan for some reason. Maybe she lives there, maybe she's visiting. It's not clear from the jump, but she's trying to win a prize in a crane game, and we know crane games, they are scams.
Yes.
But one of the guys who works there, this boy Renji, he manages to win a prize and give it to her, and he can barely speak any English, and Lily, this girl Lily, can't speak. She can barely speak any Japanese. So he's like, "Yeah, this is a present for you." And she looks over at the wall, and what day is it? It's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's. And it sort of goes from there, because she sort of starts to come back to see him, but he's not like, oh man, did I do something stupid with this? I'm not really sure. And Lily's a sweetheart. She's a cute girl. She gives him this note, that says Happy Valentine's, be my Valentine. And Renji's like, he actually does the legwork to go and translate a note to her from Japanese to English, and it says something along the lines like, well, I'm not sure if I can be your Valentine because I don't know anything about you. And it's like, oh, that's cute. So they start to get to know each other by having this notebook that they can write back and forth in, that they can use to communicate and get to know each other. And they, I assume, will use that as a vehicle for obviously this blossoming romance, as well as learning each other's language and culture and this, that, and the other thing. It just seems like a neat little story. So
yeah. Are you watching that dub? Because you said she's very English.
It is in Japanese, but the voice actress for Lily, I believe, is bilingual, and I think they brought in someone to explicitly do a lot of the English voice direction for her. So
interesting. So it sounds like actual English in a way.
Maybe slightly stilted, but it's, you could listen to it and be like, yeah, okay, no, that's like 99% of the way there.
Okay, so they went the extra mile for that. That's cool.
Yes. So, it's cute. It's, very bright pastel-y, as you might expect from it. So I think it'll be worth at least checking out a few episodes and see how it goes. It seems like less one of those will they, won't they, and more of a how will they get there sort of thing.
Which I prefer.
Yes. I mean, they're a little on the younger side. So, I think Renji is probably high school, and maybe Lily is portrayed to be slightly younger than that. But, it seems fine for what it is. So,
yeah, sounds like a cute show.
Yes. It'll at least be wholesome, I think.
Yes. Good after work comfort food material, as it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. So, what you got next?
Something that definitely doesn't seem like comfort food at all. Which is kind of, it seems like it's gonna be a running theme with my sneak peeks this time. Oh
boy. Especially
when we come to my keeper, or at least the keeper that is a new show. Woof. Prepare yourselves. Anyway, so the first one, also not off to a cozy start. The summer that Hikaru died.
Oh.
So, half a year ago, Hikaru went missing for an entire week on the mountain. And since he has returned, he doesn't remember anything about what happened to him. But whatever came back from that mountain is actually not Hikaru, which his best friend Yoshiki realizes very quickly, but promises not to tell anyone, first and foremost so that whatever the thing posing as Hikaru is doesn't kill him, which it threatens to do if he says something, but also because he misses his friend very much, and at least that way there is still a version of his friend around. A fake copy though, so we'll see if that suffices in the long run. So yeah, this is a horror mystery show, and it's getting right into it. Like, the show is not really like fumbling around in the first episode, like Yoshiki trying, something is wrong, something is weird. Like, in the first couple of seconds, we see that we see him already telling Fakeru, or whatever you want to call it, you're not really Hikaru, right? And then we have the confrontation and the threat, and yeah, we go from there. He quickly goes into like not denial mode, like he's accepting that is not the same person, that's not his friend, but he's like, that's good enough for me. As long as Hikaru is here in one way or another, because he's dead apparently, so I can't bring him back, but this is like good enough for me for now. Because this was his best friend, and maybe more like the show. I feel like the show is heavily implying that Yoshiki is gay, because there's some hints here and there. We have a flashback where Hikaru tells him, "You get mad every time I'm talking about you getting a girlfriend." And at the end he asks Fakeru if he likes him, and then when whatever that is, that entity is, says, "Yes, I like you very much," he says, Hikaru never said this to me. So I feel like there's some kind of thing going on here, or going on between, or that went on between the real Hikaru and Yoshiki. But I might also be overinterpreting things. I don't know, but that was the vibe I'm getting, and that makes it all the more understandable. Less alone be a person, your best friend in a platonic way, dying and you having to live with that, but also maybe a person you had romantic feelings for and being your best friend, and then that person dying. I can understand why Yoshiki is hesitant to let him go completely, and then is just, dealing with that by not dealing with it and accepting this new fake version of his best friend in his life. And it's like, okay, this will work out, right? So, but of course, it's probably not going to work out, because whatever that thing is, it seems to be very intent. At least that's what the end of the episode suggests. It has not been fully confirmed yet, but that's what the end of the episode suggests. It's very willing to kill people who recognize it as what it really is. And and there's also apparently some kind of organization who's on the hunt for it and trying to destroy it for whatever reason. So a bit of a conspiracy thing going on, maybe. So, it's a bit of, Stranger Things, but also a bit of, maybe romance, but also countryside, cozy Japanese countryside and summer vibes. So it's, a very interesting mix with a very eerie, but nonetheless captivating atmosphere. So I liked what I saw in this first episode. With horror anime, it's always like, are the scares really there? Like, is the atmosphere there? The atmosphere is there for now. I wasn't really scared yet, but, I can see watching this, not like I did in Bright Day, but maybe watching this to in a dark room at night, this being even more effective in terms of being a horror show. But we'll see. It might also get super dumb, which I can't really tell yet. So far, it's mainly focused on our two main characters. It's really interesting that Fakeru always, when he has the memories of Hikaru, but everything he's experiencing for the first time. So even if he's a memory of seeing a movie, eating some kind of food, he still experiences it like the first time he's experiencing it. So it's really interesting emotional component. We don't know what it is yet, really. Like, is it a ghost? Is it a yokai or whatever? Is it a failed experiment that was created by the organization who seems to be hunting it? So not any of that has been revealed yet, but that's part of the mystery. And seems cool. Like, can go either way. That's why it's still a maybe. But I like what I saw, so I'm interested to see where it goes. The family drama that's playing into it, and Yoshiki's state of mind and everything, and his relation to original Hikaru, and we'll see how this the relationship between these two friends, but also not friends, is going to develop. It's looks interesting, definitely. So
cool.
Yeah, John, what is your next maybe?
Well, I mean, I think this maybe might be bleeding into the keepers for me. So if you want to take your last maybe before that.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that then. Yes, my next maybe is Gachiakuta. If that's how it's pronounced, I'm not sure.
I think I saw that name floating around.
Yes, it's the New Bones show. And I assume it's a manga adaptation, but I'm not sure. So the show opens up very mysteriously with like a text scroll interspliced with some of the initial scenes. It's said that when an object is treated with care, a soul will come to inhabit it. So when trash is thrown out, what comes to inhabit it? Humans think nothing of turning an object into trash, to dismiss it as filth, never to hold any value again. They do this to other humans, too. So, we're getting dark already.
Wow, no kidding.
Yes, like I said, my picks for sneak peeks kind of have a theme. But yeah, so this is set in like this weird city, which might be above, or like on a plateau above the previous Earth. Maybe this might be a post-apocalyptic thing. I'm not quite sure yet. I've only watched one episode. But yeah, this city is like in the middle. Is like the upper class, and everything is super clean. And they are also very, very obsessed with cleanliness and getting rid of trash. Everything is very bright. Everything is very white in more aspects than one.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm. And we have our main character Rudo, who is this trash collector, which apparently is so illegal that the cops immediately trying to shoot him for it. Okay, the bar for getting shot by cops is pretty low depending on the country you reside in, but still seems extreme. He escapes and he returns to his residence in the slums, which are settled around on the outer rims of the city, which these people who are from the tribes, that's what the show is calling it, have been pushed to, who are much dirtier than the city folk. And at the edge of these slums are like pits. And anyone who commits a major capital crime gets an immediate death sentence and gets thrown into the pit. And that's what happened to Rudo's father, his biological father anyway, who apparently was accused of doing a murder spree. Like, everyone believes he did it for some reason, even in the slums. And he got thrown into the pit. And then a person, I don't know if he was a friend of Rudo's father or whatever, but a man called Recto picked up Rudo, who was still a baby back then, and brought him up as his own son, as his own adopted son. And they have kind of like not necessarily an antagonistic relationship, but they're kind of taking jabs at each other. But there's definitely love there. And yeah, then one day after, Rudo has just like kind of confessed to the girl he loves that he loves her. He gets back to the shop the house of his dad and his own, and finds his adopted father murdered by some person wearing a mask, and then gets immediately accused of having committed that murder himself, and gets thrown into the pit. The last picture he sees is the girl he confessed to, saying, I believed in you, but I guess you're just a murderer after all," and throwing away his present and turning away from him. And then he gets dropped into the pit.
Jeez.
Yep. Not a great start for our main character here. But yeah, we end up him waking up in whatever the pit is, which seems like this giant waste disposal site, and then suddenly a giant weird mech monster that's eating garbage appears, and that's how we end it. So yeah, this seems to be, and he, most importantly, Rudo, of course, because of this experience, vows to kill anyone who wronged him. So this is a bit of an edgelordy show. I'm getting some Shield Hero vibes from here, but not as bad and icky in certain regards. And it seems the show is very much intent on putting the focus, criticizing the right things. There's definitely a class warfare thing going on here. There's definitely gonna be some racism and xenophobia that's gonna be tackled, and that's very obvious already in the first couple of minutes of the show. So that's fine. I don't know if it's gonna be delicate. I doubt it, but that's definitely a vibe, a thing the show is going for, without a doubt. So yeah. It's interesting. It's a Bones show, so it's well animated, and the characters are interesting enough. Like, a bit standard, of course, in terms of setup and what's happening. Oh, guy accused of a crime didn't commit, and then vowing revenge for the people who did that to him and whatever, and of course, for killing his adopted father, which is understandable. And we'll see where this goes. There's probably some conspiracy in the background with the people of the rich people of the upper class in the city trying to keep the status quo, and maybe we see Recto, so Rudo's adopted father, in the beginning being in the city and taking notes because of something. So maybe he was on to some kind of secret or whatever, and that's why he got killed. And they tried to make it look like Rudo did it. So that's probably gonna be where this show goes, and Rudo uncovering that. But first of all, he has to find his way out of the pit, and that's gonna be interesting. I don't know if superpowers will be involved, because for some reason Rudo has like burned hands, and when that is revealed that he has since his childhood had like these burned hands, we hear like the sound of like a radioactive Geiger counter in the background, where it's like ticking, right? So maybe it's some kind of radioactive poisoning or whatever. And maybe he got, I don't know, superpowers and can create flames or something. He talks about the hands being hot all the time and being painful, and he can only subdue the pain when he wears these special gloves Recto made for him. So we'll see where this goes. I don't know yet, but it's interesting, definitely for now. It's just, depending on where this goes, it might get too dumb for my taste. I don't know. But the setting is interesting enough, and I always like myself a bit of a post-apocalypse, and we'll see where this goes, and sticking it to the rich guys or whatever who try to treat other people like garbage. Yes, please do that. Kill them all, Rudo. Eat the rich. Yes, Hey, wouldn't it be funny if Rudo actually turns out to be to be a rich eater or something, like? Like, he for some reason can actually eat people and get stronger, and then the tagline of the show is actually gonna be "Eat the Rich." And it would be fucking funny.
I mean, that would. Oh man. Oh.
We'll see. I doubt they'll do that. I don't even think that saying exists in Japanese. So I doubt it. I doubt it. So, but it would be funny. Anyway, that's where the show is obviously going, and
it doesn't exist in Japanese, but international marketing.
Yeah, we'll see. And he's not only gonna be taken out probably on the rich people, but also the people from his community, quote unquote, who were very willing to abandon him on the on the flip on the coin or whatever. So we'll see. We'll see how far he goes, and if he becomes just a violence-driven revenge monster that then needs to be put down. I don't know. We'll see. That I can't tell yet, but I liked what I saw. It was definitely interesting enough. I don't know if we'll hold my interest for its entire runtime, but there's a chance. So that's why it's a maybe. John, then your maybe that is gonna bleed into your keepers.
Yeah, I didn't. There wasn't a whole lot that grabbed me this season, but the one thing I was really looking forward to, I wasn't sure about, but I'll probably just end up watching all of it, is City the Animation. if you know that this is basically the spiritual successor to Nichijou.
Yes.
And it's every bit as crazy from the first episode. It's got the same sort of zany stuff going on. Like, you've got your quiet moments of, oh, your characters are talking about this, that, the other thing. And then you have moments of one of the main sets of characters runs this restaurant, and the father, who's the cook, ends up tripping and falling and ends up dropping this plate of fried noodles into one of the patrons' bags.
What? How?
And they go, because comedy.
Okay.
That's why. So they go up and out of their way to try and cover it up. So he makes a second plate and does the same thing.
Oh my God.
And then his son gets home, and it turns out it was his bag, not the patron's. So that's the level of humor we're dealing with here. And it's got the same animation style. It's obviously it's Kyoto Animation doing what they do best. So, God, there's a lot that happens, like, all back to back to back. There's one scene where it's like, let's read your horoscope. Okay, I'm not sure I want to know my horoscope. I don't care about any of that stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Well, it says here your lucky item is it says it's a mini skirt. You expect me to wear a mini skirt today? You want to have bad luck? So we have this guy putting on a mini skirt and wearing it all day long because it's his lucky item. And
Of course.
It turns out to be not so lucky after all. He gets called on it, like, this happened to you because you weren't wearing it. Joke's on you. I was wearing it under my pants.
All right. I mean, I never watched Nichijou, but I always could garner from some clips what kind of jokey jokes, like what kind of humor it's going for.
Nichijou is so goofy because it starts off, very sort of calm and unassuming, and then you have a scene where one of the girls rolls up onto a goat like she's doing a Shungoku Satsu, and then, like, not quite suplexing, but like doing a spinning pile driver to it. You see the principal having like a wrestling match with a deer. There's a scene where a couple of the girls get bit on the ankle by a dog, and their scream is so loud that it sends a giant beam into the atmosphere. It's like that. Yes. That is Nichijou. That is also City the Animation. They are cut from the same cloth. It's very clear.
Sounds like a fun time.
It is. It's silly enough that each scene is a different joke. It's like
good.
There's always a different type of humor come out. So, like, you have a scene where there's this manga artist who's like, I don't know how to keep writing this. I think I've run out of jokes, and the joke is that I guess there are no more jokes to be made, which I don't know if that's sort of a reflection of the author. But there's also other things going on there too. So it's silly, it's goofy, it's colorful, it's crazy.
But it seems like to be your kind of crazy that you enjoy very much. So
it's definitely silly. One of those. It's kind of stretching the concept of truth is stranger than fiction, but it's sort of there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely going to keep going with that. See what it do. See how goofy it get as it goes on. But yeah, that'll probably end up becoming a keeper in the long run. So I think that will transition us perfectly. So
yes,
what you got?
Mostly returning shows, I think, just like you, John. So getting those out of the way first. Dr. Stone Season 4 Part 2. So the second part of the 3-part final season. So it will be a while until I deliver the final review for that show. But I'll definitely be watching it eventually. I haven't watched Season 3 yet, to be honest. But I will definitely do that. I loved season 1 and 2, so it's definitely gonna happen. But I'm probably gonna wait until it's finished, and I'm just gonna binge the shit out of it, and then review it by the end of whatever season the final season part 3 is gonna be released in. The second season of Dandadan, my best of the season from winter this year, so of course I will be watching that as well. It's picking up right where it left off, so lots of crazy nonsense happening to my favorite new couple. Excited to see where it goes. Very hyped for that because I enjoyed the first season or the first course so fucking much. So yeah, it's gonna be a great time. And as of the time of this recording, both the second season of Kaiju number 8 and the second season of Sakamoto Days haven't started airing yet, so we can't really talk about that. But I for sure will watch those two as well, and I'm looking forward to it very, very much. Also, Kaiju number 8. Also one of my best of the seasons, because that had just a perfect mix of shonen action, kaiju action, great animation from Production IG and everything. The characters were fantastic, so I was sitting on hot coals for the release of the second season of that for a long time. So not that long, but long enough. So yeah, looking forward to more of that definitely. And yeah, John, what returning shows do you have?
Obviously, Sakamoto Days we have in common. I've been continuing to look at Procession Orchestra. It's still got the pre-Cure energy in there, but it's got the Symphogear music, so it is continuing that on. They introduced a new addition to the villains team, who maybe seems like might have something in common with our heroines. So, I'm interested to see where that goes. Like it's 4 seasons long. So, I'm just curious to see if they can keep the momentum going. I mean, obviously, it's a kid's show, but I'm just curious to keep checking it out. So,
is it right now more of a Monster of a Week style thing, or is it actually going for, I mean, aside from what you just teased, an actual story?
I think they're building toward actual story. Because the first 12 episodes are well, we have some Monster of the Week. Our villains, who are all, their names are all themed after musical instruments, of course. They have these beasties called Jammerwalks, and they're all themed. Their names are themed after chess pieces. So I think, what they're eventually going to be building towards the king and queen Jammerwalk. But, they built, they brought in, another one for the villain team. They kind of shadow introduced their boss, but they haven't really gone into that. I don't know if they have in the latest episode. I haven't watched that, but there's 3 more seasons worth of coming up. So they took a break for a recap episode, but
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I want to at least continue to glance at it and see what's going on with it. So, another one is Yaiba, which took a week break, but as of this recording, just came back. So Yaiba had his big confrontation with Onimaru, but there's still other things going on. So it's still kind of, doing its goofy thing, but they're trying to serious it up when they need to during the big encounters with the bosses, as they were. And Onimaru's sword got broken into 2 pieces, and he's looking to fix it so he can reclaim his glory and all of that. But his fortress took to the skies, and now they need to fly up after him. And that's going, and it still looks absolutely gorgeous. Wit Studio is still killing it. They're still looking great. So I'm still looking forward to more of that going forward.
Yeah, me too.
And the last one, you knew it was coming.
Starts with an R.
It's Rent a Girlfriend Season 4.
Of course it is.
And it's a split course, so there's going to be 20-something episodes that I have to endure.
I'm sending you all my strength, John.
Kazuya
is an idiot.
Dude, He is, but he's got these moments where it's like, I want you to. At the beginning of this season, Chizuru is like she wants to. At the end of the last season, Kazuya helps Chizuru get this movie made. This one thing that she's been wanting to do, because she's been using the rental girlfriend gig as, a way to work on becoming an actress. Which, okay, sure. And Chizuru's grandmother is like on her deathbed. She's dying, and she wants to get this. Kazuya wants to help Chizuru get this movie made before her grandmother dies, so he can help that Chizuru can present this movie to her before she passes, and they're able to do that. And it's kind of bittersweet, but then Chizuru, she wants to repay Kazuya for his kindness, because in all of this, he does his best to help get this moved along. But she poses this question to him: "Hey, are you in love with me?" Because one of the other characters, in so many words, says that to her.
Mm-hmm. And someone Kazuya is getting a clue.
And Kazuya, you can tell he wants to say it. He deep down, he wants to say it, but he has this moment of hesitation, and he doesn't say it, and it's like, oh my god!
Of course, because then the show would be over, kind of.
I know. But then there's the other girl who is ostensibly his girlfriend, Ruka, and she's a good girl. I don't dislike her, and she just wants the two of them to be together. But in the back of Kazuya's mind, like, he's got this thing for Chizuru, and it's like something needs to be done. It needs to happen, and I'm sure this is going to go on for 2 to 3 more seasons at the least. I don't know. I haven't looked up where we are with the manga yet, or I think I did at one point, and I just haven't done that again. But like, I don't, and I don't know if I said this on mic, but I know I expressed at one point, Kazuya ends up getting back together with his old girlfriend, who was absolutely nasty and dumped him and hates him and just wants to see him fail in other romantic endeavors. If that's what happens at the end of this story, just throw it all in the garbage, dude.
Set it on fire.
Put it in a dumpster, set it on fire, toss that dumpster into the sea, and just let it drift out. I am not for pollution. But in this case,
I mean, do you feel like the show is gunning for a specific girl in terms of that being the final one?
It's got to be Chizuru, right? It's got to be.
Not talking about what you want, John, but what you feel the show is like going for.
It's got to be a Chizuru or a Ruka.
Okay.
If it's somehow... No, it can't be Mommy. I won't let it be Mommy in my head. I won't. I can't. I hope not. But I saw people talking about where the story goes, but I don't know any of the details, and I don't want to know for myself yet, because I need to keep watching this train wreck. And I hate this train wreck, but I like that there are these genuine moments between the characters. Like, there's that. It has that. And you can tell that Chizuru is like, she knows, but she's trying to keep up the facade of this. Kazuya is her client. She's trying to keep that up on the surface, but underneath, she knows what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But she's trying to navigate that for herself because she's not entirely sure how. I think it's that she's not entirely sure how she feels. And her grandmother told Kazuya at one point, well, she puts up this strong air, but she's this weak girl underneath. But Kazuya sees that she is a strong girl, but there are cracks in the facade. But he's not sure how to navigate that. So it's like,
relationships.
Yes, it's tough, and I feel like it's starting to move toward away from the will they, won't they, and how will they get there. But, there's all this other stuff that's going on. And it's like, I hate to use this as a comparison point. But, on Facebook, you can set your relationship as it's complicated.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's that. And I feel like that maybe it can move towards something. I guess I'll keep watching it.
At least for another season. 2 core season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was weird because at first it was like, oh, it's going to be 2 cores back to back. But then it seemed like, oh, it's going to be only 1 core. And now it's confirmed to be a split core. So it's like,
mm-hmm.
So I'll keep going and I'll report back. And that is my end of 3rd season rant about it. So everything I have talked about is what I have seen so far. And I like parts of it and I don't like other parts of it because of implications. But, I'll keep watching it and maybe at some point we'll have the end of 4th season checkpoint and then we'll have however long the show goes on, the final talk about it. But every time it comes up, I'm going to say something. Just like every time Sword Art comes up, we are going to say something.
Sure.
And the problem is, I make it we because I drag you down with me, and I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not letting... for Sword Art, I'm just a willing co-conspirator. For Rent a Girlfriend, I won't get myself dragged into that mess.
Fair enough. Like, I still haven't watched the SAO movie, the progressive movies.
Yeah, me either.
I'm at least willing to check them out because they're from Asuna's perspective, I think. Mm-hmm. So that might be only slightly more interesting than cardboard cutout Kirito's perspective. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I just hope that Rent a Girlfriend doesn't break your brain by the end of it, and I have you like this blubbering mess, and I.
There's just the one thing I don't want. From
yes,
it,
so let's hope that doesn't happen.
That's all. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, crossing every finger I have for you, John.
Thank you. Please keep me in your prayers.
We shall.
Anyway, what else did you have?
Yeah, I have one more show. So that is technically my only keeper that is not in continued show. And Shirley is still continuing. I didn't even talk about continued show, all these returning shows. So that's still going on. And Diaba, of course. But yes, the show that started this season, and that's a definite keeper for me, despite its subject matter, is Takopi's Original Sin. What happens when a cute octopus alien that wants to spread happiness throughout the entire universe encounters a severely depressed person? What if the alien is a well-meaning but very naive idiot? What if the person they're trying to make happy is immune to its very simple understanding of how to make someone happy? What if that person is bullied and the alien has no concept of what bullying is? Recipe for disaster?
This sounds fine. This sounds happy.
Yeah, so let me read the warning that is preceding the first episode. First of all, a warning about suicidal behavior. Then, this work contains some sensitive depictions involving life and death. These scenes have been visually portrayed with respect for the original story's intent and are by no means intended to encourage or promote such actions. We hope you enjoy the bittersweet yet happy story of Takopi and the children as they face their extraordinary fate and accompany them throughout their journey. Takopi's Original Sing Production Committee. So immediately, like, the show's like, okay, here's what you're in for.
I mean, I appreciate that they're upfront about it.
Yes, I mean, they probably had to do that because if you watch the trailer, unless you're already poisoned through past experiences like watching Madoka or Narutaru or, oh God, what was that show from the...
Jesus, Naruto, oh my God!
Yes, Shadow Star was its English title, I believe, and from the same guy, from the same author. with the amazing OP. What was it called? Uninstall was the OP. What was the show called?
Another?
No.
Boku no.
Boku no, right, exactly. So these kind of shows that go for a specific vibe in their trailers, and maybe their first episode, Takopi doesn't do that because it very quickly goes into another it very quickly shows you what it's about, even without the text prompt in the beginning. But, Boku no is like this, this is your typical mech show where like a couple of young teens come together and fight a big monster. But spoilers, though, every time they fight a monster, one of them dies at the one piloting the mech at the end once they have defeated the monster.
I think I got maybe one episode into that, and I was like, I can't vibe with this, and I just jumped out real quick.
I vibed with it hard. The problem was it was a Gonzo show, and Gonzo, at least back then, was very much into, hey, we have this manga, but we're gonna fucking change the ending and cut a lot out of it, which is what they did for that show. And I was like, I read the manga there, and it was pretty interesting. But also, the manga from that author, sorry, I forgot the name of the author, but the same with Naruto. They start with a very kind of clear thing they're going for, tackling very tough, problematic topics, like also bullying and stuff like that, and also suicide, whatever, all the things you find in Takopi. But then by the end, it feels like the author is losing track of their story, like where they actually wanted to go with this, and it has this weird ending where it's like, okay, what are you actually trying to say with this? And that happened with Naruto, and that happened with Boku no as well. So I don't think it's the same author that wrote this. I would need to look it up.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, so, and this has a very different vibe, and also a very different, immediately, after the premiere, which is 2 episodes, like it's a double-length premiere anyway, and you pretty much know where the story is going, and it seems to be a much more clear line perspective what it's trying to do. The OP hints at that as well. So what is it about? Here's this alien called Takopi. Like I said, looks a bit like an octopus. Is a Happian. Happy Seijin or whatever. An alien race, part of an alien race intent on spreading happiness throughout the universe. He did some shit on his planet, or it. I don't know what to call it. It's not clear if it has a gender even, so let's call it it or they. And it did some shit on its planet, so it can't return to it now. And it's on its mission to spread happiness throughout the universe. But through very basic means, like, hey, here's a fun gadget. Like, it has a lot of gadgets. And here are these wings you can fly with, and so on. And that's going to bring you happiness, right? Or here's a nice camera, or here's, I don't know, a friendship band that you can tie around your finger and that of a friend. And so you're never apart and stuff like that. So that might work for some people and for some kids. The problem is in the first episode after Takopi has crash landed on Earth, and escaped from some government people, apparently, who tried to catch it. It runs into Shizuka. And Shizuka is a girl with a lot of problems. She is being brought up by a single mom. It's not clear what happened to the dad, probably died, or ran away or whatever. Has not been cleared up yet. She's very depressed. They don't have a lot of money. She's mostly living off welfare. She is bullied heavily by some girls in a class. First and foremost, a girl called Marina, who for some reason just hates Shizuka's guts. We later learn why. I won't give that away in this preview, but she has her reasons, and those are understandable to a degree, but of course she's going overboard. You should never bully someone, but I can understand why she's come from, but she's putting her anger about things also being shit in her life towards the wrong person, and there's a reason why Shizuka is that person. But yeah, they're breaking her things, they're beating her up, like a bunch of doing all the bad shit. And pretty much the only happy thing in Shizuka's life is her dog, Chappie. And I saw this. I saw that her only luck in life was her dog, and I was like, oh god, that dog's not gonna make it, is it? Is it?
Oh no!
Oh
no!
fucking
No!
Fuck. So she's like, the show is really hammering it home, and she's like cuddling that dog, sleeping next to it, and it's like, as long as Chappie is here, I can live with the pain, and everything is gonna be alright. And you're like, oh no, no!
You can't put that flag up that
No,
early.
it's bright red. So yeah, Takopi encounters her, wants to make her happy, does absolutely not understand anything about her. It's half funny, half infuriating how badly Takopi misunderstands every depressing detail Shizuka shares about her life. It thinks she doesn't want to fly because some humans might already be able to fly. It thinks she doesn't have a dad because children only have mothers on this planet. It thinks the injuries on her face are decorations she put there herself. Someone definitely didn't do proper research for their mission. I think it's like implied that Takopi is also still a kid in one way or another, but it has done some research, as we learned like at the middle part of the episode. So apparently it didn't think far enough, because it has never encountered such a person like that. And also not bullying, which we later also learn. I'll go into that when I do eventually the review. But yeah, so it's very naive. It doesn't know what it's dealing with. And then happens what must happen, I guess, and that relates to the title of the show, I must assume. It's not spelled out in the show, but Original Sin, right? At least in the translated title. I don't even know if that is what the Japanese title directly translates to. So there's a rule when it comes to all the little gadgets that Takopi employs, that he got from his home planet and that he uses to bring happiness to people. It is not allowed to let people use that unsupervised. But Takopi has a fondness for Shizuka. So one day, when she is severely beat up and has the empty collar of her dog in her hand, like appears like that in front of Takopi. Takopi doesn't get it. Says, oh, there are decorations on your face, haha. And shows her, here's a new gadget. Will that bring you joy? And that gadget is a ribbon. And you can extend the straps of that ribbon to however long you need to stay in contact with your friend. And Shizuka's like, oh yeah, that's great. Can I please have that? While before she didn't show any interest in his gadgets, because she was like, I can't. This won't change anything. When it shows her the wings, she's like, even if I was able to fly, I couldn't escape. That's basically what she says. And but this is the first thing she expresses interest in, and since that has never happened before, Takopi is so happy itself that it's breaking the rule and giving it to her without paying attention, without watching her using it. So she takes it home. Takopi has still kind of starting to worry for some reason, because, you know, it broke the rules and so on, and follows her home and enters her home and hears a creaking noise of creaking rope of the straps of the ribbon. Yes, of course, Shizuka has hanged herself. And that is, holy shit, that scene is incredibly harrowing. I'm giving it away because it happens literally in the first episode, like even before the halfway point. And that is, yeah, what the pretext teaser, of course, was about. And this is what the show is about. And what the show is going to talk about. Naturally, Takopi is distraught. It never has encountered suicide before. And of course, it's blaming itself for breaking the rules and letting Shizuka use the gadget unsupervised. Also, there's no magic gadget that can bring Shizuka back to life. Technically, because, luckily, Takopi took a picture of itself and of Shizuka a couple of days earlier with its happy camera gadget. And as teased before, that gadget has a special feature. And as we now learn, you can only save one photo at a time, but if you feed said photo back into the camera, you can go back in time to the moment that photo was taken. So, Takopi is now intent on learning enough about Shizuka to understand why she killed herself and is gonna try to stop it from happening again. It's hellbent, as ever, to bring a permanent smile to Shizuka's face, but now it is actually going to listen and pay attention. And looking at the state Shizuka's life is in, Takopi has its work cut out for it. So,
yeah, good luck, bud.
Yeah, this is a very heavy show. It's dealing with very heavy subject matters. Depression, bullying, suicide, all heavy topics along those lines. They're always interesting to get them tackled in anime. They're very prominent there. Bullying, especially when it comes to shows depicting younger people, that gets brought up a lot in anime. But a lot can also go wrong when trying to approach such sensitive material. So I'm looking forward, to see how this show will handle those topics. It's, it contrasting the shallow initial approach of Takopi to his mission with what that results in, and its revised mission statement at the middle part of the first episode. Already seems like a good indicator that the story knows what it is doing. There are also some very smart decisions it later takes on by putting Takopi literally in the shoes of Shizuka and having it experience Shizuka's ordeal from the first person perspective and us at the same time. So yeah, I feel like the show knows what it's doing, and it's gonna be a heart-rending journey for sure, but I'm very willing to partake in it because this is incredibly interesting. There was one part in the middle part of the show that had me, aside from the suicide thing, of course, had me like, okay, I knew this was coming, but this is still horrible, and but there was also a moment that relates to Takopi that follows right after it that had me welling up with tears, and I was like, okay, this show is just gonna get me several times, I'm sure of it. And the characters are interesting enough. Like, in the beginning, the show is very intent on making you hate Marina. Like, you want to slap that kid. You definitely want to slap that fucking kid. She is an asshole. Like, she is the worst. And ironically, while wearing a shirt that says love on it.
God.
The show knows what it's doing. Yeah, she's bad news. But, by the end of the first episode, it's very clearly spelled out where that is coming from. And that is also very, like I said, not in any way condoning what she's doing, but it's kind of understandable where her anger is coming from. Problem is no one is paying attention to that. Also, the teachers... Someone scribbled die on Shizuka's desk, like in big black letters. Teacher, maybe someone... Do you want to maybe someone asks who did that or something? Like, and I'm already getting mad at this kind of fucking hack behavior.
That's a little...
From education personnel. Anyway, but yeah, so this hopefully, and that is what the text from the production committee is also teasing for. Like, it's going to be the bittersweet journey, but it's going to probably have a happy ending in one way or another. And the OP is teasing that this is about Marina and Shizuka actually becoming friends and finding common ground and, actually connecting and bonding. And forgiving, Shizuka forgiving her and Marina forgiving Shizuka, even though Shizuka is not responsible for what Marina is holding her responsible for. But, this is probably going to be the journey, and Takopi is going to be the facilitator of that. And also, at the same time, Takopi is going to learn a lot about actually bringing happiness to people and what that involves, not only superficially fixing certain symptoms, but going to the root cause of people's unhappiness. And maybe having to accept that you maybe can't cure all happiness for certain people, which I guess is all unhappiness for certain people, and that is part of life in a way, which was a thing that also was, what was the Pixar movie called Inside Out? Think so. That was also what that was about. So it's going to be very interesting because depression is a very difficult subject to talk about without being insensitive and without... It's different for every person and how it manifests and so on and what it does to people, what it does to the people around you. And this is going to be a very, very interesting show. I can already see that from its first episode. It's not going to be for the people who want easy comfort food. I can tell that much as well. It was very evident, but I feel like this journey is going to be worth it, and that's why it's my main keeper for this season. It also looks gorgeous. Bit of rough designs, like it feels like it's a bit more thicker lines in here and a bit rough sketchy in certain parts. So that's also cool. And yeah, it's got an interesting vibe and melancholy to it and everything. And cool characters. Again, a lot of infuriating decisions from certain characters and behavior. And like I said, you want to smack the shit out of Marina because she's a really bad girl in the beginning. But if the OP is any indication, that's going to get turned around at some point. And I feel like those moments when that happens and when these girls finally connect and when Shizuka finally sees her life changing for the better is going to be absolutely worth experiencing. And I feel the show is not going to be cheap about that. So, yes, very much interested / looking forward to seeing that in quotes, of course, because there's probably going to be a lot of bad shit on the way. Yeah, but also hopefully the happy stuff is going to outweigh it. So we'll see where this goes. But yeah, I guess that's it for the sneak peek. And with that, we're going to move over to our first review from spring.
In the year 2048, Dr. Dennis Skinner, a scientific genius dubbed second only to Einstein, developed the revolutionary painkiller Hapna. Being cheap with no reported side effects, the drug gained widespread acceptance, even though Skinner himself suddenly vanished 1 year after launching the drug. Everyone reveled in the heaven of relief and ecstasy provided by Hapna, but they would suddenly come crashing down to Earth. It is now 2052, and Skinner reappears, giving the shocking announcement that Hapna was designed to mutate into a lethal toxin, killing anyone who had consumed it. While he claims to have a cure, he will only hand it over if he is physically found within 30 days. Axel Gilberto, a maverick youngster serving a sentence of 888 years in a high-security prison, is unwillingly recruited by a group calling themselves Lazarus. Composed of eccentric misfits, the group has only one task: to find Skinner. With no means to escape and their lives on the line, Lazarus begins the hunt to find Skinner before the countdown to the end of the human race. Thank you to MAL Rewrite for that summary. So, we went from one happy show to another very happy show about the extinction of humanity. Yay! So this is MAPPA's latest joint. We've spoken about them at length. And this is directed by one Shinichiro Watanabe, which, if you've heard of, little stuff like, Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, Kids on the Slope, Carolyn Tuesday. Yeah, he's been around. Been around to the tune that every episode title is again a song name, much like in all the past shows he's worked on.
Really? I didn't even pay attention to that.
I think it's all of them, if not most of them.
Interesting.
Like for sure, like Don't Stop the Dance, Heaven is a Place on Earth. Mm-hmm. Like those, Run In with the Devil, those are all definitely song titles.
Yeah. He has also worked with MAPPA before, like Terror and Resonance. That was a show of his. And
I forgot about that show, yeah.
Kids on the Slope was, I think, also a MAPPA show? I'm not sure.
Was it?
Maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe it was a co-pro or something. I remember something along those lines, but I'm not sure. I think that was one of their first ones, maybe.
Like,
it's been so long.
That's right. I was struggling to remember if I finished watching Terror and Resonance, and I think I did, and I kind of walked away from it like,
Yeah, that was the general feeling. Like, what are you actually trying to do here? What you're actually trying to say about terrorism and everything? It wasn't... It wasn't super great.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Mappa did work on Kids on the Slope. That's the one show that he directed that I haven't watched. So
It's worth it, I think. It's especially, if only for the music, and the animation. It's a gorgeous show. It's a gorgeous sounding show. And I don't even remember if the ending was super satisfying, but I think so, if I remember correctly. But I'm not sure I don't think it covered the full manga material.
oh well, Yoko Kanno is on the music, so there we go.
For Lazarus or for Kids on the Slope?
For Kids on the Slope.
Okay. Yeah, yes.
But
who did
yeah,
did it for Lazarus? Because I thought that was also her.
It wasn't, apparently. It was
Interesting
collaboration of some different artists. Bonobo, Floating Points, and Kamasi Washington.
They're definitely going for a same-ish mix in terms of music. If you compare it to other projects that Yoko Kanno was involved in, especially Cowboy Bebop, in general, this show is just trying very hard to evoke certain things that kind of relate to Cowboy Bebop. The soundtrack, it's got this mix of electronica, jazz tunes, rock, of course, rhythm and drum heavy stuff, nice vocal tracks. It definitely felt like if it wasn't a Yoko Kanno show based itself, it was definitely trying to evoke that.
Yeah, I mean,
and the OP as well, like the way it looks, the way it sounds.
It's definitely reminiscent of Tank, at least in the visual style.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at Bonobo is the stage name of an English musician named Simon Green. He is also a producer and a DJ. Floating Points is also a British music producer, and Kamasi Washington is an American musician, so a little more international this time with the music production. So,
which makes sense because Shinichiro Watanabe's shows also always feel very international, feel like they're geared towards a Western audiences, at least the recent ones. If you go from Cowboy Bebop onwards, I guess. I don't remember what the setting of Terror and Resonance was, if that was in Japan or if that was also more international, but Carol and Tuesday definitely was.
I think Terror, as I recall, I think it was set mostly, because it was also known as Terror in Tokyo. So.
Okay. But definitely Cowboy Bebop, due to it being in space and there being a lot of different people with different ethnicities in there and from different countries, and definitely Carol and Tuesday, that the same thing applied there. And it's the same for this show. Lazarus is very much a world touring show in regard, but first and foremost set in the US technically, or I guess a version of it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the rest of the world is what it is, but Babylonia City is not quite New York City or Los Angeles. It's a little bit of both, sort of.
Yes, but it's definitely still set, or it seems to be still set in the US, because our main crew, the Lazarus team, are guided by someone from the NSA. So there's that.
I mean, I don't quite understand why they felt they had to make up a fictional city, but this is also, 30-something years in the future. So, okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to let that go, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Our main task force is made up of 5 people. I alluded briefly to Axel before. He loves his parkour. Definitely a Spike Spiegel light.
Yeah, he's definitely the one who delivers the most kinetic action scenes in this show. Escaping from prison in the first episode, and then a couple of action scenes that he is part of, for example, in a bar, in a club or whatever, clubbing scene, and then later the tail end of the show, there's he has this fight against an assassin and whatever, a multi-stage fight, and that looks very cool. Yeah. Most of his action scenes are very, very, very good looking. Like Mappa going all out in that shit. The only exception being like this one elevator fight that looked weirdly choppy, and the direction on that, and where the camera was too zoomed in. I assumed they were trying to evoke a similar scene from maybe one of the John Wick movies, because what we haven't mentioned about the staff yet, there is a staff member from that movie. Was it the stunt coordinator? Or
I'm not sure, but that I wouldn't put it past them.
Wait, let me look this up. Action choreography was done by Chad Stahelski, the director of the John Wick movies. So,
okay.
I saw his name popping up in the credits, but I didn't look up if that was actually the director or just the stunt coordinator. No, but it's the director, and he was responsible for the action. I mean, he did the action choreography in his movies as well, and it's definitely. You can see it in Lazarus. Like, there are a lot of hand-to-hand combat scenes and gun-focused sines and so on that have a definitely John Wick choreography vibe to it. And if I remember correctly, there were, at least in one of those movies, there were a couple of very limited space or fights in very limited space, and I assume with the elevator scene they were trying to do a similar thing, but it just doesn't. For me, it didn't work out. It just looked weird. Like it was trying to go for a super fluid animation, but then it didn't quite work out, and some of the moments were a bit choppy, and I don't know, that scene just was a bit weird. But everything else, especially that Axel is involved in, not only him, but the other characters too, but his scenes are just eye candy. It's just crazy, fluidly animated, wild shit.
I just find his backstory funny because it's like, went to prison and now he's got this 800-year sentence. Like, what did you do, man? I just kept escaping from prison. It was originally a 3-year sentence, and it's like, what are you talking about? How many times did you escape? Oh, don't worry about that. What?
He's a very freedom-loving man. No, you can actually calculate that. He says every time he escapes, his sentence was doubled. So go 3, 6, 12, and so on, right? So from that you can deduce how many. Huh?
It doesn't exactly work out evenly, but
yeah, I mean, he didn't always immediately escape after he got incarcerated again. So then,
about 7 or 8 escapes. Jesus.
Well, he knows what he's a freedom-loving man, but he could also just have, waited for 3 years, but not his thing. But apparently he's very adept at escaping anyway. So, and that kind of, him having experience with that kind of shit benefits him, of course, in the work for the Lazarus team, right? I mean, his parkour shit is mesmerizing to watch, and he's either very confident in his abilities or borderline suicidal, or both. Like, he does some really, really dangerous shit. You could tell there's some moments where it's like, I'm not sure if this is going to work, but I'm going to go for it. Yeah, I mean, he gives an explanation later on. He's kind of not scared of death anymore for certain reasons, right? Because he's encountered it so many times already that he's just has a very daredevilish attitude when it comes to it, like a man without fear way. And, so that's where that's coming from. Aside from that, I guess I get to that later when I get to the criticism I have about the show when it comes to him specifically. But yeah, it's fun. Like, his scenes are fun. He has a fun attitude. Like, he's taking most of the things he doesn't take seriously. He does a lot of funny jokes and takes jabs at his teammates and so on, but always friendly. Like, in general, I like the team attitude in this show. Like, that the team immediately kind of finds common ground, and even though they're not all the same people or something like that, they find commonalities pretty on. They vibe pretty well with each other. You immediately feel like there's a connection there, and instead of having all the teammates bickering with each other all the time, you immediately feel like, no, these people are kind of meant to be together, and that's pretty cool. I like that. What did you think about the team composition?
I mean, I like that they all vibe with each other. I kind of like that they weren't all on the same page at first, just because I feel like it's more natural that way.
Yeah.
Because if they were immediately all buddy friendos, I probably would have been like, that doesn't feel quite natural. But once they got to know each other and figure out what their strengths are, I was like, okay, this feels right. It feels pretty good. So.
Yeah, the show also doesn't try to like reintroduce any unnecessary drama in there when it comes to character relations, like misunderstandings or whatever. And now these characters hate each other or whatever. That doesn't happen. So I was very fond of that. Like once they're actually have become a unit that are working well together, they work really well together, and it's entertaining to watch them. It's like the club scene where they're all already like kind of good at doing what they're supposed to do and helping out each other. The fight was just awesome. Like seeing them, everyone do their shit, like, and doing it like. All of these people are kind of specialists in their own field, but them all working together and technically having a jam session with each other, if you want to go by the musical term, and then just disposing bad guys at the same time. It was pretty awesome. Like I really like that's probably one of my favorite action scenes or scenes in the show in general. And then you have, of course, all these little character moments between the different characters, some stronger than others, of course, and that also relates to the or counts for the character backgrounds. Some are definitely stronger than others and what they do with these characters. But yeah, I'm talking about all the characters like we have already introduced all of them. John, please continue. We talked about Axel. Who's next?
We have Christine, who is... She's kind of a mystery at first.
Most of them are like all of these characters are like, okay, what's their deal, right? And for some of them, it takes a while to learn about it.
Yeah, and her story comes like way later on. Same with one of the other characters who we'll talk about in a minute. But she kind of comes in, rolling in on this motorcycle, acting all cool and whatnot.
Big old chopper.
Yes. When Axel is making his escape in the first episode, she's the one to rein him in.
Yeah, very smooth takedown.
Yes, just gets him. It's like, let's get a selfie, knocks him out, and brings him in. It's like, okay, all right. She can be the equalizer to Axel, that's for sure. And that comes into play a little bit later on as well, in more of a support role, I guess. But she's cool. She's pulls out a sniper rifle at one point later on. And just some of the shots she takes are kind of crazy. But we sort of learned that she has this weird double agent backstory, which I think we'll probably touch on when we get to it. But yeah, she's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like her background stories. Her background story is the one I liked the most, or one of the ones I liked the most. From, her little, basically her focus episodes where we learn about her background and what is going on. This has a great action climax, and also in general, it's just a fun, kind of fun thrill ride. And I enjoyed that. Enjoyed her character a lot. She's just fun. She's very fun, and Mappa definitely knows how to draw sexy women. There's no doubt about that. Goddamn.
Don't worry, she's not Faye Valentine.
No. Character-wise, she's much more. She's much nicer. She has an edge to it as well, but she definitely is a team player.
Yeah, she is. There's Leland, who he's kind of a techie guy. He does some drone piloting. I think he's the youngest on the team. He comes from this, as we find out, has this interesting family dynamic with his sister. He and his sister have a rocky relationship.
Yes, let's leave it at that for that.
We'll leave it at that for now.
Yes, but we'll go into spoilers later, and then we'll talk about it.
But he seems like he's a good kid, and he just wants to do right by the others. In the episode you were talking about with the club, he has to disguise himself as a girl, and that kind of comes back around later on in a funny way.
Axel kind of hitting on him.
Yes, but he's a good kid. He's funny. there's Doug, which I
We don't learn
like
much
Doug.
about Doug, really. We learn a bit of his like educational background and everything. We learn why he's. I mean, we learn why everyone is in this
Doug
because
is
yeah,
very cool and collected,
yeah.
but we don't really learn too much about his backstory.
No, definitely definitely the one where it's not necessarily mysterious, but the show gives you the feeling that there is not that much to him. Like he is the right hand man of the person in command of this group, and he's the lieutenant, and he's giving the orders when she's not around, and right, that's his role. And he has some connection to a person that is kind of related to what they're doing and so on, but he's not that involved when it comes to his character background story. Not really. He's more of like the mission guy, the guy who says what to do and what's up.
I like that there's a moment they're having like an actual discussion, because they hadn't really in a bit, and they're talking about, oh, how old are you, and how old everyone is. It's like, how old are you, Doug? I thought you were like 40. And he gets real hung up on that. He's like, what do you mean 40? 40?
I mean, to be fair, as usual, everyone is much younger than they look. Like, living in anime land ages you like a sun-dried tomato, apparently.
I mean, Leland is 16. At least he looks the part.
Yes, but once you get over like the 20 mark, everyone suddenly looks like they're 30 or 40 maybe. I wouldn't go as far as 40. That is really a stretch. But, like Doug and Axel and Chris, they all look like they are around the 30, if not over it, mark. Like, it's a bit weird that they're like in the beginning of their 20s. I don't buy that. That's not what they look like at all. So, okay, whatever.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I like this, but what you just mentioned, that scene, that the show is actually poking fun at that. Like, what, you look much older, all of you. I wouldn't have guessed that. And it's like, yep.
I just love how hung up. He's so stoic throughout, and just this one thing he gets so hung up on.
There's another thing when he sits in the car with another character we're going to talk about momentarily, Elena, and when he asks her, what are you going to do once we find Skinner, and we got our life back, she's like, I'm gonna eat a burger at M Burger or whatever it's called, and he's Big M or whatever. And she's like, he's like, oh, you like that? And she's like, no, it's fucking gross. But I'm always like, I want to try it, and he's just so crestfallen because he says like, well, I kind of like that unironically. So that's super fun. Like, he has his fun moments. Like, he has some great character moments, especially when it comes to his relation to the other members of the team. Like, he is definitely also like a team player. He knows what to do. Like, he's butting heads with Axel in the beginning because like, oh, this guy is trouble, right? He's the mission guy. He is this needs to be structured, and Axel is the wild card, and he's not really happy with you bringing him in. But that they form a bond and everything. So that he becomes a bit looser in that regard, and that's fun. And with all the other characters, he's definitely like kind of the big brother father character in this team who's looking out for the other team members, and that's his role. So he's of course a bit more stoic, a bit more stern, because he has to be the guy when the others are all goofing off. He has to be the guy to rein them in, but he can also goof off if need be, just in a different way. So yeah, he's fun. In that regard, he's absolutely fun. I feel like beyond that, there's not that much necessarily to him. But also, that might be attributed to the runtime of the show because it's only 13 episodes. If this was like 26 or something, then maybe we would have gotten a bit more substance to whatever led Doug to be where he is now and how he became to be a part of Lazarus.
I feel like they could revisit that in like an OVA or something as well. Just like a one-off about that. That'd be cool.
Sure. I mean, and the show, not, giving too much away, but the show kind of leaves itself open to a potential sequel. But I feel like the way the story is set up and everything, this is a one and done thing. And also, I don't know if Shinichiro Watanabe does second seasons necessarily. Like, I mean, Karen Tuesday had technically a second season, but that was one show that was just split course, I think. So
yeah, I don't really think they'd probably come back for another full season. Like I said, I think like maybe a one-off or something
maybe.
that could be interesting. But then again, Cowboy Bebop had its movies, so
yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess that. Yeah, maybe. So maybe we get a Lazarus movie, a special new mission or whatever. That could also happen. But also, Cowboy Bebop was this, at least outside of Japan, this super success. And I don't know if that had any influence on the movie getting made. If I remember correctly, it was just normal successful in Japan. It wasn't like this uber big hit that it was in the US. So I don't know what led to the movie being made. And I doubt Lazarus is in any kind of going to be that successful, even with that name attached. But anyway, we'll see. But we haven't covered all our characters yet.
Yeah, there's also Elena. She's kind of a master hacker, and she kind of backs up the rest of the team doing some...
She's the girl in the chair.
Yes, doing some programming and like tracking down targets that they're going after and just generally keeping them safe from cyber attacks. So she's cool. She's like you were saying before with her interaction with Doug, she can let loose and be pretty fun as well. But she's usually pretty straight about everything that needs to be done. There's a character that she meets up with later on who's kind of her foil, but they also end up getting along real well, and that's indeed a relationship to see. So
yeah, she's more a bit of a introverted, a bit more timid character, but once we learn about the background, you also understand why that is the way it is, right? And why she behaves the way she behaves, and so on. And her journey is about coming a bit out of her shell. And like you said, the character she meets later on is definitely a part of that. And being becoming then more of a proactive character through that. And going more outside and so on. So, yeah, very, very interesting. I also liked our focus episode. We'll talk about that when we get into the spoiler section.
Then there's the leader of the team, Hirsch. And she was previously colleagues with Skinner. And there's a lot to go into with that later on. But she's the one handing down the orders to the rest of the team. She works for the NSA. And, so... There's things going on with her too that are sort of slowly trickled out. So.
Yeah, and also kind of semi-important is her boss Abel. Forgot his last name, but I don't know if he's the head of the NSA or if he's just a very important person in that organization.
Yes, he is the director.
He's the director.
I had to look it up. Yeah. Abel Anderson.
It's a very superhero name, but the show doesn't shy away from making those references in general. Like in the first episode, Axel calls them the Avengers. Like there are references to Batman, I think some other action movies or whatever. So this show definitely knows what it's going for in terms of its like inspiration. So that was fun.
True.
Yeah, and fun in general. Like some good jokes. You already talked about the stuff with Doug and so on, and also like the scene where they get into a shootout and the other factions are like, police, drop your weapons, FBI, drop your weapons, and Axel's just yelling, Lazarus, drop your weapons. Got me pretty good.
I think one of my favorite jokes that they run with a couple of times is after Axel escapes, there's this police officer who's like, hey, wait a minute, aren't you? And Axel just like, he fools him like 3 different times. And it's like, oh my God, this officer is terrible at his job.
But, and that's also a fun thing about the show. The show is very good at bringing things it like introduces early and you think don't matter, brings to a fun close. And that cop specifically, he gets to do, I guess, an important thing. It's, of course, assisted by the team, but he gets the laurels, so that is super fun. Like, I thought he was always being the butt of the joke, but no, he kind of kind of then becomes somewhat the savior, at least in, the public's eye of you. So that's super funny.
Hey, it's you. You don't understand. This is going on over there. Go get backup. Yes, sir.
Sometimes you just need someone who takes command, and then people fall in line. So that works. I also love that scene when they look at the social media profile of that one stock trader guy and get progressively disgusted with his videos.
Oh my God, yes.
You're just fun interplay between the characters and good banter. Duck dancing the goofiest goof in the goof dance in the club is also super fun. A lot of these moments in the show where the characters are just doing cool, fun character bits and just being entertaining, fun characters, not serving the plot or anything, and just doing funny shit just because they're people, and that's cool. I like that a lot. The general vibe of the comedy in the show and the character relations and everything that worked very well for me. I was just immediately on board pretty much with the whole team, and then once they started to really interact and form bonds and so on, I was like, oh yeah, I like spending time with these people. They're just very entertaining and very sympathetic. And again, that would have been probably something where it's like, yeah, I wouldn't have mind to see more episodes with this team constellation, them going on more missions, because they could have stretched this out even longer. This show is just a scavenger hunt. Like every episode, they find a new clue that leads them to another clue, to another clue, to another clue, until they eventually, zone in on where Skinner might be. And which is also a funny part, as it turns out, when we get into the spoiler section, but which we can actually do now, I think, because we talked about the basic setup and why the show is fun and, exciting action scenes, good characters, good character banter, great production values. Holy shit! Just all the music, the animation from beginning to end. There's also great. Just in general, like, I really like the atmosphere in the show. The music does a lot, but the direction and artwork play their parts in giving it this kind of laid-back feeling occasionally. Like, even when the action scenes have a kind of, like, are frantic, they kind of have a chill vibe to it sometimes. Like a cool ride. Like you're part of some kind of cool ride in a cool car or in a, I don't know, in a cool, attractive roller coaster or something like that. It feels like there's still some kind of inherent coziness to it, and then there's like this episode where they having to travel to these partially submerged cities. What was it, like Manila and something else, and that had like this. First of all, probably the prettiest episodes, because you have a lot of shots with the open sea in it and everything, and crystal clear water and stuff like that. But it also had this very eerie and foreboding feeling to it at the same time. Just, lent itself very well to some really cool set pieces, and like did its part for the story as well, because this makes us and the team experience the undeniable beauty of a world without humans in it. So that was really cool, and that was also very much improved through the production values of the show, because it looks so pretty. It's so well animated, like the scene where Chris is diving under the water to look for a certain clue and so on, and it's just mesmerizing to watch. It's just like all the underwater life with the fish and everything. It's so well animated, it's so pretty and so colorful. And it's just, Mappa, like I said, this was definitely a high profile project for them, and it shows. It's really, in terms of the way it looks, it's incredible. Like, and then the music that, like I said, does its part too. It's just a very well put together package. Definitely in terms of production values. Story-wise, and that's where we can go into the spoiler section, it is mostly super competent and fun and entertaining. By the end, maybe it feels like it's losing a bit of its, I don't know, its red line or whatever you want to call it, like its through line, or it feels like it's maybe bringing things too close, too quickly to an end without having really resolved that many storyline. Or let's say, I feel like by the end, the show is maybe spinning a few too many plates at the same time. So at the end of the show, last third, I think, we get introduced to a conspiracy in the story, which tells us about, hey, here that some kind of army branch in the US was involved in experiments, and that also relate to Hopna and Skinner and so on, and also relate to Axel's background story. And as it turns out, to all the characters' background story from Lazarus. And I feel like that did not connect as well to the initial storyline and how it was set up as maybe intended.
Yeah, it felt a little convenient.
It first of all felt very convenient, but some parts of the show already did. So that was not maybe the problem. Was that it was introduced very late, and then it felt like it ran on the side, or worse, if you want to be like more negative about it, it feels like the show was stalling once that was introduced. Like it was trying to have that part in it, but also still have the Skinner chase in it and the character bits, and mushing all of that together didn't quite work out. Like, it's especially weird because it relates to our ostensible main character and the big reveal about the mystery of his past that is teased very early in the show, where, like, Abel says Axel is the one who will bring all of this together, which of course also relates to the team itself, but still also story-wise and the Hapna stuff and everything. And in that regard, that it falls kind of flat. Like, there's no real big emotional payoff for that. And, you know, when they get to actually resolving that, it feels very on the side. There's no big action climax, which is fine. I get that. That's okay. We don't need that. But I feel like the way it was setting up that particular part of the conspiracy, that was like, okay, did that need to be here? Like, it leads to a kick-ass fight. Because the army branch led by some guy called Schneider and Hayes, is the other guy, some kind of general. They sick an assassin on Axel because Axel is the one who can apparently fill in whatever, or proof, or could be a witness to whatever shit they did and how they are responsible for Hapna and what Skinner did in the first place in one way or another. And that kind of like fell flat for me. I feel like that didn't really connect. And it's like, okay, I guess that makes sense, and it kind of makes sense from a story perspective why they're now going after him and why they're doing what they're doing and why Axel had to be part of the team, I guess. But it's not like I'm feeling super rewarded once they get taken down, right? And the assassin character introduced is very cool, like HQ/Soryu or whatever he's called. His action scenes are also crazy, but they also take away time from, you know, the already meager episode count. It's not super meager, it's just one season. But I feel like that took away a bit from stuff, from screen time that could have been invested into our characters, right? Right. Like I said, Doug does not get that much background aside from us learning he was in university and one of his professors is now a homeless person, and they go to him to get a clue about Skinner, which is very funny because they also go into this homeless camp, and that is in the third episode, and there's one guy who obviously is fucking Skinner. Like, you see that person. He is disguised. He's wearing a beanie and stuff like that, but he has the same hair color. He has the same body physique and everything. He's shown from the side and a bit obstructed and everything. So it's not made ultra clear, but you take one look at that guy and you're like, is that Skinner? And all characters don't see it. But then, fucking in the last part of the show, when it's revealed that he is actually in that homeless camp, Doug says, "Oh, was it that guy after all?" And I'm like, what Doug, the fuck? Why didn't you say anything? It was so stupid. It was so fucking dumb. It's like, if you had that suspicion, why did you not go to that guy? Like, you could have shortened this shit. Like, I mean, then we wouldn't have had a show. I get it.
Then we would have had 10 episodes less.
Yes, we wouldn't have a great character journey for some of these characters and so on. I get it. But why then even put him there. Even you didn't need to show him. Like you just they could have gone to that homeless camp, and if then the reveal without showing him, and then if the reveal was, oh no, he's actually there, he just went by a different name, so the other characters didn't know that it was him, and so on, or maybe someone covered for him due to reasons. That would have been an entirely different story, but no. Doug interrogates a person that is sitting right next to that guy, and he doesn't recognize him. He doesn't take one look at him. Could also be in commentary of us not paying enough attention to homeless people, right? Of course, I can get it. Maybe the show was trying to go there. I can see that. But the way it was staged, especially later on, it was like our great investigator team with all these people with special abilities was too stupid to recognize a guy whose photo I've seen several times, who was like this huge public figure, and then you don't recognize him because he wears a fucking beard and sunglasses? Come on. So that was ridiculous. It didn't make me angry or anything. Like I was just laughing because it was so stupid.
something, it's poetry because it came full circle.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the show does that a lot, right? And I liked some of those moments. Like, it's very good. There's some really neat callbacks to earlier scene that become a lot more important with the added context. I always like this kind of stuff in general, where you go, oh, so that's what that scene was about. But that relates more to the character backgrounds. Like in the beginning, we see a scene with Leland where he's standing at a grave with flowers on it. And then we later, we can assume it's someone he knows, but we don't know what exactly. But then we later learn from his sister that that was the grave of his father, who he had a very difficult relationship to. And that was probably was the first time he had contact with his family in years, that he was putting the flowers there, and his sister recognized them, or assumed that he was the one who put the flowers there, and that kind of leads to evolution in their relationship, I guess. Mm-hmm. So because she knows that he still cares in a way and has not fully abandoned his family. So that was good. I like that. And there's the stuff with the cop, for example, who could be a running gag, but then later he gets to be the one who found Skinner because they don't want to be have Lazarus be an official thing, right? That is publicized in media or whatever, and can be and is the one is then declared to be the ones who found Skinner. So he gets to be the guy who saved the world, which is super fun and funny and cool, and it feels nice because he is mostly a joke before that, but he seems to be a good guy. So I like that. These kind of callbacks are always cool. Like there's the was it the DJ? Someone from the bad guys from earlier gets then added to the team when Elena is out on her own mission, and he gets to be the hacker guy.
I love that scene in particular because he looks over at Leland and is like, hey, do I know you? Because he was hitting on him when Leland was dressed as a girl in that episode. I'm just sitting here at that scene like, oh my God. Oh my God. Really good.
Yes, I liked all of that. I liked all these bringing that shit full circle or bringing it back later. I thought that was great. The only thing where it didn't fully work for me was like, hey, remember that guy with the gray beard and the sunglasses in the second or third episode? Yes, I remember him because when I saw him the first time, I said, that's fucking Skinner. Like, you didn't...
It's fine, don't worry about it.
These are the moments where I feel like the show thinks I'm stupid, and I don't like when a show thinks I'm stupid, so they're making it like this, whoa, big reveal. He was there the whole time. That makes the characters in the show look dumb, and it makes it look like the show thinks its audience is stupid. So, that didn't work for me. Aside from that, I liked a lot about this show. Like, I think like I said, the visuals are great. I like the character stories. Chris' background story, her being a Russian agent who deserted basically, was also cool. Like, she having a relationship with her female team partner, whatever, with her colleague, and then that person just holding a grudge, obviously because of that, because she thinks she abandoned her. Chris abandoned her and left her alone in a situation where she didn't want to be. But it's also understandable from Chris' point of view because that was her one chance because she was declared dead, like all the characters on the team, and due to their experiences, they kind of immune to Hapna and so on, which also really didn't play that much into the story. If they were the only ones at the end of the show who were alive or something like that, that would also be interesting due to their experiences, right? And due to luck being at that part, in that scene at the airport, where the shit with Skinner and the army and the gas happened and so on, that led to some people becoming immune to Hapna. That would also have been, if that led to anything else, that would have been more interesting. But this way, it's just there. And hey, this is how it relates to the title. Your lives were fucked up in one way or another, and you died, but you were revived. You were literally Lazarus. And due to you got to experience something worthwhile now being on the scavenger hunt, and now you're different people. I get all of that. It's okay, but you could have maybe done something more interesting with that.
Yeah, that's another part that I thought was pretty convenient.
Yeah.
Oh, you were exposed to this toxin, but you lived. Just like at the very end, Abel is like, "Oh, you're all absolved of your crimes. And you're invited to rejoin Lazarus." And I'm just like,
I mean, we want that, right? We want that, but it feels like it's only partially earned.
Yes.
So that's a bit of we need a happy ending. Here it is, and it's like
it felt too clean.
It felt too clean, yeah. I mean, it's not like the characters don't go through ordeals. Like all of them get roughed up at some point. Some of them more than others. That is true. Yeah, right. That is okay, but I feel like, especially the Lazarus thing, them being immune to Hapna, doesn't really add anything aside from maybe if you want to go into the subcontextual stuff with, them experiencing the journey and so on, right? And being all connected in a way without knowing it. And that's why they also jammed so well together as a team, and them becoming team members, actually improving all of their lives retrospectively, but it was also destined to be, and so on. That is interesting, but it doesn't really do anything in terms of what it means by the end of for the climax and so on, for the story, because it doesn't have an effect on them necessarily, aside from being maybe the initial instigating event or whatever that led to all of this, that connects them. I get that, but I felt like, okay, maybe could have done something with that I don't know, had some bigger meaning by the end of the show, which I don't think we get. Maybe it is just all these different characters who come from completely different backgrounds were connected through this one event, and thus that led to them, because now they have this special genetic makeup, that led to them becoming a special team that, because they couldn't die of Hapna, so their chances of finding Skinner were higher than for others, because there was no risk of them getting incapacitated through the disease, right, through the Hapna-induced pandemic. Mm-hmm. So from a mission standpoint, that makes sense. But also then at the moment where Skinner says, hey, I'm going to be the first one who dies, so after 30 days, it's over anyway. So it's not like they could have prolonged the mission and by being immune to it any longer, because once he's gone, the antidote is gone. So it doesn't quite all fit together. I think that's my main complaint. It's like by the end, before that, it felt like all of these gears were very neatly fitting into each other, and all of the stuff, but not too convenient. Like all of this stuff was very well leading into the next thing. Like I said, at the end of every episode, they get a new clue, which makes sense how they got to it, and then that leads to the next clue, and they go on that trail of breadcrumbs that Skinner obviously has laid out for them due to reasons, right? Mm-hmm. And that was neat, and it felt like even when the show took its time to focus on the characters, it still gave us the feeling that it was making progress in its main story and where it was trying to go. It deviated a bit here and there to focus on, some of the, like I said, some of the character bits, the background story of Elena, for example, which I like that episode a lot. She came from a sect that kind of chose an AI to be their god, right? They sectioned themselves off from normal life and are on this compound or whatever where they live on their own, like completely shut off from the rest of society, and they decide to to pray to an AI who makes the decisions for them, who's basically their god. And that was very interesting. Like, and kind of, depending on how some people react to AI right now, as of this moment, it is not as far-fetched as I want it to be.
Yeah, it's a little unsettling in the scope of current era.
Absolutely. So that was cool. I liked that, and I liked Elena's background and her relationship to her childhood friend and so on. That she comes from that, and the eerie final sentence from the AI after it got destroyed or burned down or whatever, tried to burn down on all its followers. When Axel asks why it did that, it says, "I received the directive to become a god, and the answer I reached is that a god is not a god unless they freely toy with the lives of humans." Which is kind of prophetic, and given religious history, one could see how the AI, which I think is called Naga or something, could come to that conclusion. So, if you only, without context, without emotions, without an actual soul, without an actual brain, read only about certain things from the Bible and history and what church did and so on, you could definitely come to that conclusion. So that feels like something that feels like something like an AI, like Gemini or ChatGPT or some soulless bullshit would come up with at some point, or Grok or whatever would come to like a solution, like one resolution is like, oh yeah, I mean, history shows this, and that most important work that tackles the topic of a god is saying this, so maybe this is what this is about. This is a very negative, very negative assessment of that, of course, but it is something that could happen if you look at some of the answers that AI gives right now. So that was very interesting. It felt very contemporary. It felt very / or quote unquote relatable in a certain extent. So I liked that. And that was kind of just, a deviation. It didn't really have to do anything with the main story aside from the AI being based on, I think, Skinner's brain, right?
Yeah.
So, this also being like, hey, this is also what maybe humanity is just, maybe it's humanity's fault. Yes, it is. Of course, it always is. We also cooked up AI.
When isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, right? So, but that was interesting. But again, it didn't necessarily, aside from them after that experience having garnered one clue, I don't even know what they get from this mission, but it's just something they experience along those lines, and it relates to one of our characters from the team. So that was very cool. And it felt like a somewhat laid back episode. So it's not this frantic, the show is not in general this frantic plot-driven experience. Like I said, it's more in certain parts more of a jam session, and it feels more loose and at points maybe a bit chaotic, but always relaxing and fun times. Fun, what I mean. It's just entertaining to watch. And only by the end, you feel like, okay, I feel like we're losing the plot here a bit, or I feel like it's not working, everything is working as well as it did before, because you're trying to force a finish here. You're trying to force a conclusion that has only been partially earned, and also late in the game, you introduced a new factor into it that was not really necessary. Like if you've made this, if this show would have been just, hey, these people kind of go on a road trip for the entirety of the show, through that have experiences that enrich them, and then later through that become more full like people, and that is the reason why Skinner decides to give them the antidote, and that's the reason why they actually find him in the first place. That would have been maybe a more fulfilling story than late in the last third introducing this conspiracy angle to it, where it's like, oh, it was the army's fault all along, which, yes, of course, I can see that. That makes sense in a way, because they were trying to develop a biological weapon, because the guy who was responsible was like, hey, if we don't do this, other countries will, blah, 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 right? And this definitely felt like one of those story beats interjected in here, because Shinichiro Watanabe, who also wrote this, had a thought about this particular thing, about pandemics, about government, about AI, and he wanted to put that in there, but he didn't necessarily find the best way to connect it to the rest of the story. So he's like, I want to talk about this. How do I talk about this in this show? Just make this a conspiracy. They're responsible, and that's how I can introduce that in relation to humanity is fucked up and everything. But did show already have enough of that in there while it was still working more consistently, like while the story threads were working more consistently. And I feel like, especially when it comes to Axel, who is our ostensible main character, it doesn't do anything for him. Like, it doesn't enrich his character in any way. His confrontation with HQ/Soryu is cool. Like, they have a cool fight, or a couple of cool fights, but it's not really like doing anything to developing his character any further, or his background neither. Like, he says something about what he experienced in the past and where he grew up and everything, but that's all show and not that's all tell and not show, first of all. And then it doesn't really relate to his current situation anymore. And there is not this big, like, cathartic character moment for him or anything like that. I feel like we have that for Chris, we have that for Leland, we have that for Elena to an extent. We don't have it for Axel, and that's kind of a bummer considering he's the one the show opens up with, and it feels like that is the person. And, he gets a lot of highlight scenes in the final episodes with the fights and everything, but not much more.
Yeah, I don't know if they were trying to do that with Soryu, but it didn't work.
No. Soryu works the least. Like, I get... Okay, he has like this split personality disorder, and he was part of a government experiment, right? So that connects more to the army, to the conspiracy angle than Axel's story actually does. So that was super weird. Like, technically they could have made Axel into Soryu, right? They could make that one character, Axel previously being an assassin for the government. And then they losing track of him for some reason, right? And then too late finding out that he was in that prison all along, due to him dying at the airport accident, right? And then him just disappearing, or like Chris having his face changed or whatever, and something like that. And then because he is still their main assassin, and that being a problem, and them sending him after Skinner for whatever reason or so on. And that's why he was there, right? That could have been a good connective tissue. And him having to wrestle with that, maybe because he forgot, because he lost his memory, and then regaining it and remembering all the people he killed or something like that. And he says he killed someone, right? But do we actually get filled on who that was? Like, in the beginning, he says he's in it for murder or something like that. Or maybe Chris just assumes that. I don't know. I'm not quite sure if he actually says it himself.
I think he does, and I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure that doesn't get resolved by the end of the show, right? Do we learn who he killed? I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, so that was just this weird loose hanging thread where it's like, okay, I don't quite get it. And it feels like initially we had Axel and Soryu maybe being the same character. And then that being maybe the climactic thing where the army in the end, where the army is coming after him and him trying to wrestle with his previous life, and this Lazarus experiencing him now being a completely different person and actually helping people and doing something worthwhile with his life that is actually doing something good, trying to help humanity survive, is something that evolves his character, turns him around, and makes him forgive himself for what he has done in the past, right? That would have been a strong character angle. That would have been really good. That's not what we got, for some reason. I don't know what happened there. Like, if for some reason they couldn't make it work, like the climax work with him and Soryu maybe being the same character, and that's why it turned out that way. But I feel like that was the thing that the show was maybe going for, with him being set up as this mystery character in the beginning that is in prison for some reason, always trying to get out, having like this lust for freedom and everything. And then that doesn't happen. And that was super weird. Just all of that didn't connect by the end. And yeah, it's super strange to me. I don't quite understand that. It doesn't kill the show for me, absolutely not. The show has too many cool characters for that in it, and the most of its runtime is still fun regardless. But it kind of leaves a bit of a bitter aftertaste in your mouth in regard to what the show could have been. Like, you see the potential, you see the angles where if they got reworked, if they took a bit more time with it, if they maybe gave it more episodes, maybe give it 2-core season, they could have had something really sterile, maybe even along the lines of Cowboy Bebop. The way the structures with the, more episodic makeup of it, and just, them finding a clue at the end being the connective tissue mostly, and then by the end having maybe more of a, like Cowboy Bebop with the mafia stuff and everything, and the syndicate and stuff, Spike being related to that. Maybe that was also the reason why Watanabe didn't want to do it, because it got too close to Cowboy Bebop in that regard. Spike was an assassin, and originally for the syndicate, and if they did that again with Excellent this show, people would have maybe said, hey, this is too much of a Cowboy Bebop copy. And that's why he didn't want to do that, and that's maybe why he changed his character around. Maybe really initially Axel and Soryu were the same person, and the reason why he split it up was to not to get too close to one of his other projects. Could have been the case, but that's a detriment then. That's a problem. Like, you can't set up a story a certain way and then just chicken out. Like, if from the setup is of certain characters is in your head a certain way, like, don't change them around at the halfway point. That kind of doesn't work. Then you have to rethink the whole story. So I don't know if that's what happened. Again, I'm making assumptions, but it could be. But if it had like 26 episodes with a lot of the episodic nature, I think that would have worked too. Could have had more interesting stuff about Hirsch, because her character, aside from being, knowing Skinner and maybe being romantically involved with him or interested in him, which the show doesn't really spell out, there is not much to her either, aside from her and Abel they're the main plot drivers here. Like, they're the exposition guys. There are a lot of moments where they tell you about shit instead of, like I said, a lot of tell instead of show, and if that happens, it's usually those two. Like, they're telling each other about things that the audience needs to know. And then it's just like, okay, now this is what happened. And Axel is that guy. And instead of having that character actually learn that themselves and experience that in an emotional moment, we get just getting told about that. And again, this is all part of the last third of the show. That's what I mean when I say the wheels come off by the end a bit. That doesn't happen in the first two thirds of the show. And it just can't bring it all super well together at the end. It's still kind of satisfying finish in regard to, hey, they find Skinner. They have like, the world is safe to a degree, but also is it? Because humanity is still humanity. There's still conflict brewing in the Antarctic, which has become like this fought over place after all the polar ice caps have melted or are melting. And now suddenly different countries become interested in actually, proclaiming that land as their own and whatever. So, that is still going on, and all the people are way too willing to return to normalcy, which is probably a commentary on after COVID life, right?
Yeah.
Which, this show is very intent on showing us that, like, everything is back to normal. Suddenly you see the Dow Jones thing popping up again, and you have the same people who are doing stupid jokes in the talk show, doing that again, like previously about the end of the world, just it's, back to normalcy again. And it's just, hey, everything is like it was before. We have learned nothing. And that's kind of also the commentary at the end of the show. That's a bit prophetic, bittersweet, whatever, commentary on actual real world life and how we handled that huge pandemic that had affected the whole world. But we also have the nice character bits. We have like moments with, with Elena, with the hacker, with the other hacker guy. We have some nice moments with Chris, with Axel, with Doug, and so on. So with Leland and his sister. So from a character's perspective, I feel like we get a nice ending. We get a kind of satisfying thing where it's like, okay, I'm glad that the characters ended up where they ended up. And I feel like for not all of them maybe, but a lot of them it was a satisfying journey to witness. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I was wondering if they were going to do something bold, like, I don't know who, but like one of them is going to die, you know.
They go there.
It seemed like they kind of toyed with that.
Yes, absolutely. With several of them, like Chris. They do it with Chris. They do it with Axel. They do it with Doug. They kind of cheaply tease it with Elena, right? Because she gets a fever, and earlier in the episode they say like, "Hey, all the people who are already getting fever with due to Hapna and everything." So she's like, "Oh no, she's infected. Oh no, what's gonna happen?" But then it's like, no, she's immune, so she just gets better again.
Right.
But you're right. They're toying with that a lot.
But you know, everyone got to stay alive, and they got a good ending, so that's fine.
I mean, you need a bit of positivity in the face of what the show is actually tackling in terms of topics and everything. Yeah, I feel like because, you know, it's a very apocalyptic scenario in a way. It's still fun. It's jokey, right? The way it's set up. But if you see you see the beginnings of society collapsing due to everyone knowing they're probably going to die after 30 days. And there's like this haunting scene where Soryu is introduced. And he ate his usual steak because he only eats steak due to protein. That doesn't seem healthy. I don't know how he could maintain his health for so long with that diet, but okay. And
who knows? And
he exits the restaurant and walks down the street to this, in the background, this eerie vocal track plays, and then we see like someone going on a rampage and killing a bunch of people randomly, just running around with a machine gun or whatever and gunning them down, and then getting gunned down by the police, I think, or something. And just Soryu just matter-of-factly walking through all of that bullshit and not giving a damn. Right?
Man's cold.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, it was like a nice excerpt from society collapsing in the face of this thing. And I mean, we have this kind of stuff already, I guess, especially in America on a regular basis, right? So it's not like this is something new, but it still feels like that very much fit into the narrative of, hey, everyone is losing hope. Everyone is giving up, but also kind of everyone is continuing like they did before because they don't know what else to do, at least as long as they can. And you have some people on the outside of that who are immune to it, to Hapna in general, like the people from certain parts of the world who have like, I forgot what the technical term is for that, where they have like, they from birth on do not experience pain. The show
analgesis, I think it's called.
Yeah. The show mentions that several times, and due to them having that genetic makeup, which was the basis for Hapna in the first place, because Skinner researched them to make that drug, they will survive this, right? There are some people out there who will survive this, but society as a whole is probably fucked if Lazarus doesn't find a cure. And, you know, society knows this. And, you know, it's interesting to see different facets of that. You know, the stocks guy who doesn't give a shit and is just being the biggest asshole he can be in the face of it. Then some of the other characters just going on with their daily lives because that's what are we going to do, you know? It is the way it is, right? We can't do anything about that, right? And that was eerie, and that definitely felt like something that was pretty close to reality and everything. So it was interesting in that regard. So I feel like if you didn't want the show to be a complete downer, especially with, you know, in the final montage, it again making clear that is the way humanity will be for the unforeseeable future, and that's how it's going to behave. It's nice to have like at least our main characters coming out of this experience as different people and, as it looks, better people, and maybe even be able to, I don't know, transfer that, convey that to other people, and maybe changing their lives through that. So I guess in that regard, it was a happy ending. Maybe not completely if humanity as a whole in its entirety is concerned, but at least to our characters, and I think all of them we liked, if not loved, by the end of it, because they were well written. Some more than others, definitely, but at least in the here and now, not necessarily tied to their backgrounds, they were definitely fun characters who had great interplay with each other, and who you loved to see doing what they do, doing their secret agent shit. So for that, the show is definitely good, and it's a quick watch. I had a good time with it. I was not completely overjoyed with what it's doing, especially by the end, but I feel like I didn't waste my time watching it. John, how did you ultimately feel about it?
Honestly, the same. Like, on the whole, I enjoyed it, but there were those little things that we both touched on. That was sort of like, maybe this could have been tightened up. Maybe that could have been done this way. But, that gets into the whole death of the author, blah, blah, blah. So, what we got in the end was pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I feel the ending was pretty satisfying, despite the hiccups it experienced in the show experience in the last third. Like I said, albeit not feeling as climactic as it could have been, just in terms of where all the story threads lead, not necessarily having a big climactic action scene, but having a big climactic character moment maybe at the end for Axel or something like that. But, considering that a lot of the show was more of a vibe excursion than I expected it to be in the first place, the low-key nature of the ending maybe also feels a bit appropriate. I'm not sure. Could be. Would have to mull that over in my head a bit maybe. It leaves a few threads hanging, I guess, but I don't think that will get resolved. Like, especially when it comes to the Excel stuff and everything, and maybe Doug. I think this is a one and done show, and it's fine that way.
Yeah.
Could it have been longer with some of the characters getting more of background story? Sure, but for its short runtime, it did pack more interesting character stuff in there than I thought it would. I thought this would be more of a plot-driven show, but it's actually the strongest part of it is actually more its characters, at least some of them. Yeah, that's it for Lazarus. It's entertaining. John, where can people watch it?
Can watch it on Adult Swim, HBO Max, and Hulu. Before we take this home, though, I have to ask, how did you watch this? Sub or dub?
Right, I watched it sub, which was a close call, because the 13th episode hit yesterday or the day before that. So I wasn't aware of that. I thought, all the 13 episodes are out. Oh, they're all out dubbed. The 13th episode hasn't released sub yet. Thanks, Adult Swim.
Well, I mean, if you know where to look, you can get the dual audio version. But
yes,
I watched all of it dubbed.
Okay, so I heard the dub was a mixed bag, to put it mildly. What was your overall experience with it?
It was okay. I feel like some of the voice direction probably could have been a little better. Like I'm not gonna put it on the actor, so I will put it on the director.
It's usually the voice direction,
because like I said, I think the actors themselves were all pretty good fits for the characters, but I think maybe Doug and Elena could have used a little bit more direction.
Mm-hmm. Did they feel too loose?
A little flat in places.
Okay, got it. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, honestly, it was fine. I think we have gotten past the age of all dubs are bad. No. And even then, I think even back then they were mostly pretty good. But I do think that the dub for this was pretty solid, all things considered.
Considering that this show is set in an English-speaking environment, like it's set in the US, it would make sense to watch it in English, right? So it's hearing that not all of the performances, due to whatever reason, are up to par is a bit of a shame, but also it works in Japanese. If you want to watch it in that, it's totally fine. But I feel like this is definitely one of the shows where they should have maybe gone the extra mile and did some really, really like high, grade A, expensive dub for it, because that might have enhanced the experience a bit, just in terms of feeling more natural in regards to where the show is set. So I'm currently watching, small tangent, because I feel like we didn't have those enough yet in this episode, and we always do those usually. So I'm bringing it back.
Let's go.
I'm currently watching Monster, the old crime thriller show from the creator of 20th Century Boys and Pluto, and I that finally got a German dub, and since that show is set in Germany entirely, pretty much. That was always one of the shows, even though I'm not that fond of German anime dubs, believe it or not. This was one of the shows where I was like, if this gets a German dub, I'm going to watch it because of the environment the show is set in. It absolutely makes sense. And I probably have the same feeling that you had about Lazarus, where it's like, this is fine, but some of the performances are a bit flat, which I don't think is the fault of the actors, not all of them anyway. Yeah, there's some bit players because that show has a huge cast, and some of the side characters definitely are not probably up to par in terms of acting skills, but a lot of that also comes down again to the direction and the translation, where it's like, okay, the focus was put on, we have to match the lip flaps instead of actually making sure that the rhythm of what is being said feels more natural, that it actually sounds like something people would say, and that doesn't feel like something that is read off a page and translated too literal from the Japanese language into a language that doesn't have these kind of idioms, doesn't have this kind of talking rhythm, doesn't have this kind of pronouncing certain things or stopping at certain moments in the sentence, and thus making it feel unnatural. And I feel like those moments are in the dub. It's still very solid. It has a lot of solid actors. Some of the main characters, some of the side characters are very well cast. But there are these moments where it's like, you're speaking too slowly, you're speaking too stilted, it sounds too stiff, and some of the stuff sounds just too flat. There's not enough emotion in it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's the same experience you had with some of the stuff that the English dub of Lazarus did.
Spoilers, but we will be having this discussion again in a couple of episodes.
Interesting.
So. But yes, I mean, I've just been interested in checking out dubs for shows.
That's a good thing.
Lately. Like, City is getting simul-dubbed. I've watched only a little bit of it in English. I feel like that's a show that's probably better suited to the original Japanese just because of what it is. But I might go back and, scrub through it and see, how certain scenes are played.
I mean, we have enough anime shows in any given season, or maybe not enough, but over the year anyway, where you have enough of an international setting, or let's say a neutral setting where it's like a fantasy world or something, where it doesn't feel alienating if you watch it dubbed. Right? Where it's like the setting is not necessarily Japanese high school or something like that, right?
Yeah.
With some environment was like, yeah, that would make sense that these characters also speak English or whatever. And for that, I mean, in general, and if you're interested, please check those out. I'm interested to hear what some of your favorites in terms of dub performance and everything are. But I will definitely keep on watching Monster. The nice thing about watching an anime show dubbed is that even if the show maybe deserves a full first screen experience, you, with the dub version, also have the option to sometimes look away from the screen without missing too much, even if you don't speak the dub language.
I get that, but anime is one of those things that I want to give my attention to.
I get it. And that's commendable.
That's why I set time to focus on it. Like, I mean, there's a couple things that I haven't watched yet this week that I need to sit down and do, but I will usually make the effort to sit down and watch and try and take them in. Now, with like, if I'm listening, if I've got a YouTube video or a stream I want to listen to, yeah, that'll be second screen while I'm like playing a video game or something, which I've been playing a couple of games lately. Can you believe it?
Wow, okay, that bodes well for another episode of freeze frames per second.
So maybe next time we do that, I'll actually have something more to talk about than last time.
Then I'll be the one with a few games.
But yeah, I mean, I like for when I'm watching anime that I can focus on it.
Yeah.
And I get the whole first screen, second screen, third screen thing that some people do. But, you know, I want to, when I'm watching something that I'm interested in actually taking in, I want to be able to take it in. Like, I still haven't watched Sonic 3, but I want to make, you know, when I sit down and watch it, I want to be able to focus on it. So.
Yeah. And for most of the stuff, unless it's something I've already watched, I put away my phone these days. I turn it to silent so it doesn't disturb me. I put it behind me so I don't even look at it because I'm very addicted to my phone and I need to actively put it out of my field of view to not be tempted to look at it and see if I got any messages or whatever. So
like sometimes I'll make the phone or the tablet my first screen, but then I'll be like laying on my bed while I'm watching it so I can mostly focus on it.
Yeah.
And Amazon loves their super long ad breaks. So sometimes during that, I'll have to like swipe away just to to dismiss notifications. It's like, God, I don't feel like when you're a Prime subscriber, you should have to watch 2-minute ads, but that's another discussion, I guess.
I mean, if you pay additionally, you get...
No, screw that.
Yeah,
nope, that's stupid.
I get it. Why not just raise the price for Prime in the first place and then
because it's already high enough.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, and again, I'm only doing second screen experience for shows / movies I've already watched probably several times, and I already watched Monster, just not in the German dub. So I'm okay with occasionally just listening to it and maybe checking something out on the web or whatever, or doing some, maybe, I don't know, something in my at my place, maybe cleaning up a bit, but always knowing where I am in the story because, you know, the sound is loud enough and so on. And so I don't miss anything. I've just, you know, that's nice, but also I would never do that for something that I'm watching for the first time. Especially not for shows that we review because I can't on this show because I have to write notes, and if I don't pay attention, I'm missing shit that would backfire, and it's also already problematic enough as it is if I don't write down the whole fucking everything that happens in any given episode.
Like even when I was rewatching Symphogear, I think it was before AXZ. Like I was like, I want to give this my full attention a second time. And
I mean, the show deserves that, right? Maybe some shows more than others. And again, depending on how many times you've already watched it, there's maybe some shows, like I'm watching the DCU animated stuff right now with Batman, Superman, and like I mentioned before in the previous episode. And there are some episodes that are not as great as others. And, you know, I don't focus maybe on them as much as I focus on the other ones. But in general, I'm like, okay, I'm fully committing to this. And then there's this one shitty episode of Batman Taz. There are very few ones like that, but there's some weaker. There's not entirely shitty episodes at all, but there's some weaker ones. I'm like, okay, this is not as... I don't need to give this my full attention. It's fine. I've seen this several times already, so it's okay now. But for everything else, I'm like, okay, yes, please. I want to concentrate on this, and I want to make sure that nothing like interrupts me while experiencing this type of media and so on. So yeah, totally can relate. But yeah, that was a not so small tangent.
It's fine.
So the sub of the Japanese dub of Lazarus is good. Is good. The English one apparently is also fine, at least, if not good as well. And
it is a high passable grade.
Yes. And did we already say where you could watch this outside of Adult Swim, I guess?
Yes, but for repetition, because repetition is good for the memory. Adult Swim, HBO Max, and Hulu is where you can watch Lazarus. And I think we both think it's worth checking out because it's a short run time. It's got some pretty good character stuff in there and just incredible production values. So it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, agreed. I liked it quite a lot. Is it the next coming of Cowboy Bebop? Nah. Neither was Carol and Choose
It doesn't
Tuesday.
need to be.
No, it doesn't have to be. Like, but at least if not anything else, Lazarus left us pretty satisfied by the end in regard to most of its character stories. I think main plot okay, also fine, but I think the characters is where it's at. Some of it was overkill and didn't need to be there. Subtracting screen time from the stuff the show was really good at handling. But hey, solid show with incredible production values. I think that's out of the question. There's no discussion about that. The show looks and sounds amazing. It has kick-ass action scenes and often a really cool atmosphere to linger in for a while. If you let yourself do that, bringing it back to this not making a second screen experience. You should definitely give this your full attention, even if some of the story bits maybe don't work out by the end. But yeah, if all of that, just what we talked about, sounds even remotely good to you, give it a try. It's a quick watch, and I definitely didn't regret my time with it. And it sounds like, John, you didn't either. And that is a wrap on the 168th episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our podcast is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to virt.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. Find us where all the podcasts live, but also check out animebrainfreeze.com for our review index and more. Please leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcast app of choice if you can. Follow us on the socials or send an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. We would love to read your feedback. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next episode. Mach's gut.
So long, everybody.
Next time on Anime Brain Freeze.
For those about to rock, we salute you.
And what makes a hero is not the costume, but the person wearing it.